Hi, it's Eric Lanchas again, founder of Traffic Research and coached over 650 businesses online, speaker at many conferences around the world on traffic and growing your website. So, in this second video of the SEO Simplified series, we're going to be going over a lot of things, and hopefully they're going to help you grow your website and really take it to the next level, help you rank on Google and all that good stuff. So, when we're talking about a page and creating a page that gets traffic to your website, when we're talking about the different types of content, and ultimately this is going to lead to more sales and money in your pocket. You're going to discover why online business owners like you and me can get all the traffic, leads, and sales. So if you haven't seen video number 1, I want you to go check that out. It's really the foundation, and this is really the most important thing before you get to this video. So go see it if you haven't seen it. We talk about the unlimited traffic cycle, and it's about figuring out what people want on your website. So if you've seen it, you know that now we're going to be talking about part number 2, which is writing it in a way that people want to read it. So I'm going to show you how to produce that content and really attract the clients and the sales so you can profit every single day. So we're going over the types of content you should use, when you should use each type, because different contents, you use them at different types, and also how to have it done without having to write a single word, because sometimes writing content, between you and me, it could be a little time consuming, and sometimes you just don't feel like doing it. So if you're in that situation, then I'm going to show you how you could get it done without having to write a single word. So any time you've been trying to rank on Google and get people to your website, typically there are a lot of roadblocks. So if you resonate with any of these, like you felt like not writing any content, you don't know where to get links, or you just feel like you don't have time to even do it, well, I want to tell you, you're not alone. It's totally normal, and I've been there too, because those are the most common things that like people run into. However, if you do allow these to become, your obstacle and your everyday truth, you're never going to achieve the massive amounts of success and traffic to your website. Plus, there's something I know that sometimes we sit in front of our computers and we feel like kind of overwhelmed at all the potential ideas of like what you could do to make more money online with your business. I've been there, and trust me, there's a million things you could do, but there's a very few amounts of things that will actually make a huge difference. This is one of them. When you build more traffic and links and like content, you add more content, you build more traffic, you get more links, and you grow your website, right? You're actually growing your entire business. Because I want you to think of it for a second. Not only are you going to get more traffic and sales, immediately, but when you come to retire, if that happens one day, and you want to sell your business, what's the difference between getting a business that's getting 100 visitors per day, and the difference between that and a site or business that's getting 50,000 visitors per day or 100,000 visitors per day? How much more is that company worth? So if you're going to be selling a website or your company, sometimes they're tied together, how much more is that going to be worth to someone? Is it going to allow you to retire on a yacht, or is it, you're going to get a few $1,000s from it? So not only are you building your business immediately, but you're also building it for long term, which is why I really hope you're excited for this, because I'm going to show you the second part of the really simple way to grow your website and get as much traffic as you want. So in this video, I'm going to take you step by step on the content creation, and we're going to break it down. I'm going to go over some very specific types of content that are going to save you a lot of time, money, and they're going to get you results. However, I do have a warning. You have to follow the recipe. If you haven't seen step number 1, go back, watch that video, and if you have, then I want you to follow the recipe that I'm going to be presenting to you inside SEO Simplified, because it's going to show you the best types of content to use when you're starting out and when you want to get massive amounts of growth and traffic. So let's start. We're going to be talking about the profitable content types. Now, we know what we want to write about, right? So you've done that in part 1, but now how do we produce it? Like what format do people want to read, and what's going to go on that page, right? That's typically the next step. Well, in the first video, we were using the stock market analogy, where I wanted you to pick stuff right before it was going to explode. Now we're going to use another analogy, and we're going to go fishing. So when you go fishing, you want to bring the right lure. You want to have the right bait, right? So same thing happens with your content. You want to present the content in a way that people are likely to share it and that people want to consume it. Because sometimes people want a video, sometimes people want content presented in a specific way. They don't always want a big block of text like a simple article. See, if you're just producing like an 800 word article and you're putting like a block of text, that's not the stuff that's always going to get shared. I'm going to show you what's going to get shared. So if you write, and the other thing is, if you write a sales pitch on a new site, you attract absolutely no one. So it's presenting that content in a way that doesn't seem overly commercial. That's going to get you a lot of results. That's kind of like the way it works online. People don't want to share a sales pitch. They want to share some really cool content, something that's current. So here are my favorite types of content for explosive growth. So if you're new, or even if you're advanced and you want to just give that big boost, this is what you want to do. So 4 content types. First is going to be the infographic. Super easy to do, really inexpensive, gets you going, like it gets a really good shot. The next thing is going to be open letters. When we're talking about breaking news, and I'm going to go over one of my personal favorites, which is guides. So let's start right off the bat with one of the easiest ones and one of the most inexpensive ones to do, and I'll show you exactly how to do it. So once again, before we start, I wanted to remind you, you want to do this at the right time. If you created an infographic in the past, maybe you haven't gotten the right results because it was not created at the right time. However, what I did is, remember that graph where I was showing you the DJI Phantom 4 skyrocketing in actually it was in video 1, the DJI Phantom 4 skyrocketing in popularity. What we did is we came out with an infographic right when all the buzz was happening. So this thing got shared all over the internet, and people were even stealing it from us. We were so popular. So that's why infographics could work if you do them at the right time. The way you do it is really simple. You could put out an infographic within 48 hours and you don't have to do most of the work. The first part was you just perform market research. It's just you compile fascinating data on your topic. So typically what I do is I'll open up a page inside Word. I'll just have bullet points of just interesting data. Second thing I do is I went to Upwork, Upwork.com, and I hired a graphic designer that has experience in infographics. A lot of times these guys already have templates and they'll be able to pop out an infographic really quickly for you. In fact, the guy I found did it for $32 and some change. Like, the infographic cost $32. Can you believe that? That is a lot of, bang for my buck. Then what I did was I just gave him that piece of information, that Word document with all the data, and I said, here, go crazy. Inside that piece of data was quotes, though. I sourced and I quoted 10 other websites from where I got the information, and that's kind of a key. So he created the infographic, and he quoted at the bottom, like the source, for 10 links. Now the beauty of that is then you could just go back to those websites and say, hey, I just quoted you in my infographic, here it is. And what they'll typically do is, because they're flattered that you quoted their website, they'll link to the infographic saying, hey, we got quoted here. So this is a quick way. It costs about $32 to get a massive amount of traction, tons of backlinks, a lot of exposure, and also on top of that, like really people talking about your product and centering you as like, hey, you're one of the references for that product. So that's gonna be the easiest one, the quickest one. The next one that I like to do, this is the one that you want to pop out when you're late at night, you have a bottle of wine or like a drink and all that, you're feeling inspired, right? The open letters. These are probably the only ones I don't outsource. If late at night there's a company or a person in your industry, so either a company or a person in your industry that's doing something and you have an opinion about it, you could write a controversial topic, and you write an open letter to that company or to that person. These typically are very non-commercial, and if you're passionate about it, you publish it on your site and you spread it through social media, it's going to spread like wildfire. Fire. I've seen letters like this get thousands and thousands and thousands of shares, thousands of visitors in a very short period of time, and everyone, like the entire industry, buzzing about this open letter. So this is one way that if you feel inspired, you just start writing about it and you write an open letter. These are some of the best sharing content online right now, and they're so underutilized. This is probably the only thing I don't outsource. So I don't do these all the time, but when I do them, my customers or clients have done them, they've worked amazingly well. The next one is going to be breaking news. Now, breaking news, I have a few tricks up my sleeve for this, and I'm about to share them with you. The number one trick that I have is, well, first of all, the best thing you could do is you could attend an industry event. So if you attend an industry event and you're there live, you're going to get a lot of insights, you're going to get rumors, you're going to talk to reps, you're going to talk to companies, and you get breaking news about things that are just happening in your industry right now. Alternatively, this is brand new, it's never existed before. The best way to get breaking news is to attend the live streams of your industry. So most industries and most events now have live streams, and you could do it from the comfort of your own home. You don't even need to be there. You could be on your couch attending the industry event, and as soon as something gets published or you hear something on the live stream, you write about it, and you're going to be the first one to be covering that. So because you're the first one and people care about it, you're going to get tons of links, tons of shares, and a lot of traffic just based off the fact that you were watching a live stream and you were the first one to write about it. This is an amazing way to get a lot of traction and be noticed and be one of those places that people come back to in your industry. One of the things I sometimes do is when I have a new article, I send anonymous tips to other bloggers to be like, hey, check this out. This website just published this new laptop or this new virtual reality headset or this new drone or this new thing on here. And then you get tons of natural links. It's amazing. So that's one way to get breaking news from the comfort of your own home. The next one I really like is going to be guides. Now, guides, you could pretty much always produce them. You want to produce them on guides that are hot right now, so things that people are looking for, and this will give you a ton of traction. So the way you do it, actually really simple, is you research all the data on the subject, you go to forums to see what people are struggling with, then you write a comprehensive guide about your subject, and then you do outreach to specific sites and social media about your guide, right? So it's really kind of like a 1, 2, 3, 4 step process, and I typically will outsource all of it, right? Researching, get someone to do it. The forums, I might go to the forums and be like, I want to cover this. And then writing it, it's just a matter of putting all the topic and all the data on it. So you don't need someone super special to write the guide. You just need someone who understands the subject, and then you just write the guide on it. Amazing piece of content, and these tend to be quite long, so they tend to get shared quite a bit, and they're seen as extremely high quality content. People will come back to your site over and over and over again just to consume your guide. So how do you get all of this content, well, except for the open letters, without having to write a single word? Well, this is what I do. This is how I get all my content. So you want to locate the experts in your field. There's a few ways to do this. Now, the easiest way is to use international sites like Upwork, Freelancer, Writer Access. You could also go on Craigslist or Indeed.com and get more local work. You could also go to specialized forums. So there's community forums. This includes things like Reddit, but also Facebook pages or groups and pages that people create. There's also communities, so community websites. Maybe there's a community forum that you have. You could go to any of these, and there's going to be different levels of writers on all of them. Now, let me go over one of my favorite examples, and one of my favorite things is I use Upwork a lot to find writers. So this is the exact listing that I use. I will have the exact listing, which is seeking a excellent writer, general knowledge, mostly in tech, niche number 1, niche number 2, you replace that with whatever you want. And then this is the exact thing that I use to find high quality writers that could write about pretty much anything. And one of my tricks when I'm hiring writers is I will hire 2 of them. I'll hire 2 of them at the same time, and I'll give them the identical task. When you do that, you're going to find that one typically writes much better than the other, provides your results faster, and you just get a better experience with one. So at the end of that task, I keep one of them. I let the other one, I just don't renew or I let the other one go, and I'll keep that one good writer for my next content, my next content, my next content. So that's one of the ways I go about finding some really good writers on Upwork. The next thing is sometimes I find really good writers on online communities. So like I mentioned before, I actually went to Reddit, and I went to r/virtual reality when I went to virtual reality industry, and I looked up and I just posted, hey guys, I need someone who's an expert on the subject who just wants to write about this. The beauty of this is you get people that are writing out of passion and not just for money. So you get a different type of content. Now that content sometimes isn't written as well in terms of like this, not grammar and just the structure and just the writing in general. It's not written as well, but the information can be better. So you get a whole different type of like perspective, and sometimes you get even better content because it comes from a guy who's really in the industry. The next benefit from that is you could easily share it back in that community. So if you go to a forum and you get someone from that forum, he's going to go back and be like, hey guys, I wrote this piece here, right, on your website, and he's going to give you a link and get you links without you even asking him. Just by him sharing his own stuff, he's going to get you a ton of traction, a ton of links, and you're going to get ingrained in that community. So there's a lot of benefits to getting people that aren't specifically writers, but are enthusiasts about that industry. So some of the best content though is going to be written by the owner. So if you're starting out and you're like, hey, I don't want to hire anyone, I just want to write my own stuff, then that's great. You could definitely start off by doing that. Is going to be some of the best pieces of content I've ever read online have been like written by the owner. However, I do want to point out that some of the biggest sites in the world, they don't have the owner writing the content. Like things like Forbes, Huffington Post, Medium, Lifehack, the biggest sites in the world, they don't rely on the epic pieces of content that are going to win awards. Instead, they get content from regular writers, but at the right time. So the real magic is not getting that one piece of content that's going to change the world. The real magic is writing the right stuff at when and what people want to read about. So you don't need to, I want you to have good content, don't get me wrong. I want you to have the best content you can, but if you're running into roadblocks where like, man, I just can't produce it, remember that it's not the absolute best content in the world. It's going to be about having that content at the right time. It's going to make a bigger difference. So here are my last implementation tips to get the maximum results. Now we've gone over a lot of stuff. I hope you have ideas. I hope you have notes. I hope you're ready to implement this, because this is really going to help you grow your website, get you rankings, and get you all the customers and sales that you want. So here are the last little tips I have for implementing this. When you're writing this stuff, the more sales oriented the content is, the more challenging it will be to get links. If you're writing a sales pitch and you're recommending a bunch of products, typically that won't get shared as much as if you have just pure content without like a commercial aspect inside. So the content's job is to get noticed online and not really to sell right away. That comes a bit later, and that you could actually link to other pages on your site and then sell hardcore, right? So when you're writing, the other thing is you want to cater a bit more to the advanced crowd. Because webmasters from other websites, the big sites are going to link to you, typically they're going to be a bit more advanced. So if you write really beginner stuff, beginner level stuff, then they're not really going to link back to you as much. Instead, you want to go for a bit more advanced stuff, and then people that are linking out will be more likely to link to you. So that's another tip that I've noticed that works out really well. Write more advanced stuff. Yeah. So here's an example. I mentioned a case study that I want to show you, and here is how I outranked for their own Samsung for their own product guide. So remember when I was like, hey, look up Samsung Gear VR guide? Well, if you look up the page, my page is ultravr.org/Samsung-gear-VR-ultimate guide. It's a long URL, but you could just Google Samsung Gear VR, you'll find it. And this page is one of the guide models. So this is one of the pages I showed you. Hey, I walk my own talk. I do what I teach, right? So this is one of the pages I created. And if you look at the graph, this is the link graph. It's accumulated a natural amount of links. I've built 0 links to this page, and throughout the past year, it's just gained links, and it continues to gain links naturally without me doing anything. And it receives thousands of visitors per day. So this entire website is getting thousands and thousands and thousands of visitors every single day, and this specific page is getting thousands of visitors. So following this works, and I encourage you. This isn't the only way to create content, but this is one of the ways that works really, really well. So anyone could do it. anyone could create it or buy it. Really, it is that simple. Like I showed you a $32 infographic that has produced amazing results. You could sit at home one night and write a crazy open letter. You just attend live stream and get some breaking news, or you could create a guide either by yourself or get some help. This is how I typically do it, and get one of those foundational pieces that is going to really drive a lot of traffic, a lot of links, a lot of shares to your website, and it's going to get you noticed in Google and start establishing you as an authority that ranks for absolutely everything. So now it's time to apply this. I hope you have an idea. I hope you be ready to begin. Before we go today, I want you to leave a comment. Like, what kind of content will you be producing, or would you like to produce for your industry? Also, I'd love for you to share this on either Facebook, Twitter, or just send a friend the direct URL to this. I'd like to know also how this process or growing your website could impact your life. How would your life be if you're getting 10,000 visitors a day or 100,000 visitors per day? What kind of impact would that have on you? So, my name is Eric Lanchers. We've covered a lot so far. Step number 1, step number 2. I hope you're excited for the next step, where we're talking about tweaking the content with Google Food, and I will talk to you then. Take care, guys.